sound in the head.
Right. It's quite fitting that this is my last official engagement. Apart from handing over my chain of office tomorrow evening, Three Rivers Museum Trust has been an active interest for me since the beginning over 26 years ago, and I have been on its managing committee ever since. I am now the museum's vice chairman and very glad to support our present chairman, Barbara Owen, who has such boundless energy she must be running on Duracell.
Okay.
Where's the bunny?
Sounds like you
This afternoon's event is all about the demolition of the two gas holders owned by the National Grid. Originally, I'd asked to film the demolition, which took place over approximately 6 months, so I made quite a few visits. The film is now completed and will soon be on the museum's YouTube channel. Well, it will when I get home, hopefully, if my computer's going. Whilst filming, I asked if we could have one of the gas holder plaques, which states the date of manufacture and manufacturer. National Grid kindly agreed, so that is the reason for this ceremony, where I officially received the plaque on behalf of the museum. So I shall now unveil the plaque. And there it is, in its glory. Fantastic. I'd just like to thank National Grid and JBP, that's the three ladies, Nadia.
Did they come over?
Over here.
Over here.
And hold the plaque up.
No.
Very heavy.
You're not going to drop it.
It's only 60 feet. I know, that's why I suggested it. Good idea.
Nadia,
After you, Anne.
thanks very much for all that you've done to get us in this situation. Thank you.
Definition of normal.
Do you have to say something about this, or do you just, please? I mean,
Would you like us to?
Yes,
No, we
please.
can- Okay. Nicola, you're going to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
yeah, would you like-
Only a small sort of plaque from a relatively small gasworks for National Grid, but actually, you know, it's anything that we can do to preserve some sort of legacy for these sites is really important to us. National Grid Property manage and maintain the what's seen as surplus estate for National Grid. So obviously these sites are no longer functioning to store gas in the holders themselves. So the property side of the business, which Sam, Nadia and myself work on, have the sort of responsibility and challenge to maintain these sites. This particular site in Rickmansworth we started looking at a year ago. It's quite a tight residential area for us, so often gasworks were in residential places, and that's always a challenge for us. But this one, you know, in particular, obviously presented quite a lot of challenges in that respect, and we can talk through the works in a bit more detail. But this kind of really does sum up what National Grid Property's challenge is. So for us, it's really important to try and find ways in which we can, you know, either donate anything or try and find something that actually, for towns like Rickmansworth, you know, it's the only gasworks in the town, and so it's actually really important to salvage whatever we can and actually do something like we're doing this afternoon. I mean, Sam can talk to you a bit more about the site itself, but
yeah, I was just going to run through sort of a bit of the history of the site, if you like. The Rickmansworth Light Gas and Coke Company was first inaugurated in 1852, in fact, and started producing gas on site in 1854. So this involved bringing coal to site, we believe by barge, but could easily have been by rail, and they would burn the coal on site in retort ovens, and that would produce the gas, which was then stored in big tanks. These big tanks were called gas holders or gasometers. There were originally 3 on the Rickmansworth site. So the older of the gas holders is this water-sealed column-guided holder here. And there were originally 2 smaller holders in the footprint of this larger holder over here. Obviously, originally, gas was produced on a very local scale. Most towns in the UK had their own little gasworks, which would supply their needs. They'd expand over time. Methods would improve how they manufactured the gas. Then by 1930, the site was amalgamated with nearby Watford and St Albans gasworks. It became a much larger company, became a much bigger scale. Obviously, demand then increased more, and then the next big change was in the 1960s. We started bringing a lot of our gas offshore, from the North Sea, so we had a big switch to natural gas rather than town gas. This coincided actually with this gas holder here being constructed. This was constructed in the early 1950s, so it was used for about 10 or 15 years to store town gas before it was then used to store natural gas. The gas holders themselves were still essential at that point in time to they would balance the supply to the area. So although they contained natural gas rather than town gas, they were still very much in use. And this was whilst the sort of pipeline in the UK was upgraded. So what then would happen is gas would be supplied at pressure beneath the ground in pipes rather than at lower pressures in the gas holders. The site today still has a sort of large function in supplying gas to Rickmansworth. What you'll see here is what we call a pressure reduction station. So gas at a certain pressure comes into site and then the pressure drops, and that's then ready to kind of come into your homes. For about the last 10 years, the holders themselves have had sort of no sort of useful purpose. We've now been sort of since last year looking at a programme of dismantling them and bringing the land into some sort of beneficial use. This is part of the stage process, so this is one step in that direction. So we're going to have later this year a phase of ground improvement works where we'll be removing materials from beneath the ground, which was sort of a legacy of the gasworks.
And you will keep a watch out for what you might find, won't you?
Oh, we will do, yeah.
Or anything interesting, yes.
The odd skeleton, you know.
Yeah.
I found all sorts in.
Yeah, I'm sure you will do.
Yeah.
Skeleton must be a first though.
Well, maybe we can arrange that.
I think on that,
Time team down.
yeah, well, on that point actually, what we often find are just things that I suppose at the time we just throw away, things like items of clothing like leather boots and things like that in tanks, or we found bottles, bits of glass, crockery, things like that actually when the gas holder and gasworks was functional, they were just sort of thrown away, but actually as part of doing this work.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
when we look through the last few years of activity, we've actually got and salvaged these things, which we then can sort of use in
Amazing
places
what
like
you
this.
found.
So if we ever did find anything, that is exactly, it would end up here, no doubt. But
Yeah, good.
Yes, well,
until
thank
you
you
get
very
there,
much.
until we
Yeah,
get
thanks
into the
for
ground,
thinking
we
of
won't know.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's very good. Thank you very much. I think Barbara's got a few little drinks out there.
Yes, do come through. It's a bit.
Oh, that lady did it again.
We can make it round though if you prefer.
Yes, they wanted to fret that and they were sort of type themselves to it.
I'm alright, thank you very much.
Nothing more.
Nothing more.